Good evening, dear friends. As you know, we are facing an unprecedented pandemic and passing a very difficult time. COVID-19 or SARS coronavirus 2, highly contagious virus, which has a strong capacity to spread very fast. And I should tell you that COVID-19 is not going to go easily. So no one can run away from this problem. Only we need to know to safeguard ourselves and prevent spreading the virus. Our lifestyle will be changed in next 6 months to 2 years, and all of us should prepare for it. So at the outset, I thank you for watching this live, and I'd like to request all of you to wear mask when you go out. And I would say that this has become a social responsibility, because wearing mask is not only helping you, but it is preventing to spread the virus to others. So it's become a responsibility for all of us to wear mask and not to go without mask to the different places outside. And never remove the mask when you're talking to somebody, shopping, or going to market. Keep more than a meter distance from the other person. Wash your hand frequently whenever you get a chance. And do at least half an hour aerobic exercise daily. And have good sleep and take adequate water and food. So these are the minimum precautions we need to take in day-to-day life. And this is not for today. This should become a new normal of our lifestyle for next 6 months to maybe 2 years till vaccine comes. Anyway, today actually I'm going to talk about high blood pressure, what is called hypertension, which is very common problem in the world as well as in India. High blood pressure means all of you know that high blood pressure means there is a pressure build up inside our vascular system, inside the arterial system, where blood pressure will be higher than normal. And because of this high stress on the vascular system, there will be a lot of secondary changes to accommodate this high blood pressure. And because of that, we can develop a lot of other complications. And blood pressure is one of the major risk factor for heart disease, stroke, kidney disease, and it can cause a lot of other problems. As you know, out of 4%, 1% in India will have blood pressure. That means 30% of the Indians are suffering blood pressure. And if you see that in the world over, at about 26% suffer blood pressure. So it is a very common problem. And I'm going to talk on this blood pressure. Second, I'm going to talk on the COVID-19 and blood pressure. And maybe I'll discuss about the hypertension in this contest, treatment of hypertension in this contest. Normally, blood pressure of a person should be less than 130 systolic, the upper one, that 130 millimeter mercury, and lower one should be less than 85. So anything less than 85 diastolic and less than 130 systolic is considered normal blood pressure. And there are certain instances the blood pressure should be strictly maintained. Suppose patient has got diabetes, has got kidney disease, and blood pressure should be maintained very strictly. It is very, very important to keep the blood pressure less than 130 systolic and less than 80 in that case of diastolic. And there is no common problem, commonest cause of blood pressure is not known, that what is called primary blood pressure, primary hypertension, and exactly mechanism or particular cause is not known. That is 90% of the person who has got blood pressure will be in this category. There are about 10% of the people who has got blood pressure, but there are some causes. Suppose there is some cause of kidney problem, some other by birth some problem will be there. So in those cases this is called secondary blood pressure, and which can be treated. If you treat the secondary cause, then blood pressure will get control. Blood pressure or primary blood pressure, which is common in the population, and that blood pressure has to be controlled by different lifestyle modification, change in the lifestyle, and using medicines. So these are the two methods. You change your lifestyle and take medicine. Now, what are the different lifestyle to control blood pressure? One is very important is the regular exercise. You need to do regular exercise, at least half an hour aerobic exercise daily, and that helps in controlling blood pressure. Another important, the diet. Diet to control blood pressure is very, very important, and most dietary contribution of blood pressure is the salt. Sodium is one of the important component of our diet which can contribute blood pressure to a large extent. Especially in India, we take a lot of sodium in village. As a whole in our diet, sodium content is very high. So sodium should be restricted. If you restrict sodium, you can reduce the blood pressure even up to the extent of 6 to 10 millimeter mercury. So I should say common salt, which should be taken in 24 hours in a day, should not be more than 6 grams. So small 1 spoon of maybe 1.5 spoon of salt should be enough in a particular person who has got hypertension. So salt restriction is very, very important. And other diets like diet containing very high oil, high fat containing diet should not be taken very frequently, and in fruits, vegetables, and of course animal protein also should be restricted. So more of a natural food with more fruits, vegetables, less salt, and less cooked food, less fried food. So these are the foods more kind of blood pressure friendly and should be taken. And another important is the contribution of blood pressure is the alcohol. Alcohol is very, very one of the important component. In fact, many hypertensive patients have in diet they take alcohol. If somebody is having a habit of taking alcohol, that should be avoided. That should be stopped. Preferably, it should be stopped. Alcohol should be stopped in presence of blood pressure, or in fact in presence of other diseases also. And if at all, suppose somebody cannot stop, it should be reduced. It should be reduced to a large extent. Then it is actually not in a particular day, it should be around 30 to 60 ml, not more than that. So usually we do not advocate taking alcohol at any cost. We don't advocate. But somebody has got a habit of taking alcohol, it should be reduced. It should be reduced to a large, significant extent. And recommendation is that it should not be more than 60 ml of alcohol in 24 hours. So these are the dietary contribution as well as lifestyle modification to control blood pressure. Now, second, when blood pressure is not getting controlled, when initial stage is a mild hypertension, suppose it is 140 over 90 millimeter mercury or 150 over 90 millimeter mercury, in that case maybe this kind of lifestyle modification and diet modification will help. But when blood pressure goes further, suppose it is more than 150 or 160 systolic and 90 to 100 millimeter mercury diastolic or beyond that, in that case, apart from the dietary modification and lifestyle modification, we need to start medicine. So medicines, different group of medicines are available for blood pressure control. One of the most important group of medicine is the what is called angiotensin receptor inhibitor or angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors. So these are one of the most important group of medicine. This group of medicine has got some kind of link with the COVID also. I'm going to discuss about this. Other group of medicine is the beta blocker. Beta blocker, like all of you might be, some of you must be taking, like beta blocker like metoprolol, atenolol, carvedilol. All those beta blockers is one of the another group of drug. Third is the calcium channel blocker. Calcium channel blockers that contains amlodipine, nifedipine, all a group of drug. All those drugs will be included in the calcium channel blocker, cilnidipine and all. And another group is the diuretics, which is very cheap, and usually we prefer to use very initial stage diuretic, like thiazide diuretics. And these are a group of medicine. Apart from that, there is centrally acting drugs are available. Usually we do not commonly use as a first line of drug, but in subsequent so the resistant hypertension, where this common group of drugs is not working, in that case probably we can go for this centrally acting drug. So these drugs are to be used and has to be with the consultation of doctor, preferably cardiologist or physician, and they have to start the antihypertensive drug. And there are some recommendation how to start these drugs. Suppose start with a single drug or start with 2 drugs and see the response of the blood pressure. So how to know about the blood pressure response, or whether it is a normal actually true blood pressure or is a office blood pressure? That is very important to establish initially this is a true blood pressure or it is some kind of false or a kind of temporary blood pressure. Many a time, many person when they come to the clinic of a doctor or come to hospital, blood pressure will go up, and if that person goes home and take blood pressure at home or blood pressure outside of the hospital, in that case you will see blood pressure will be normal. So this kind of blood pressure we call is a white coat hypertension, which is not a persistent blood pressure, which is not actually blood pressure. It is a temporary blood pressure because of the anxiety and other component. So in that case, if you start medicine to that person, I think it is blood pressure might come down very low, or it will crash, and a person can develop difficulty. So ideally we should not start drugs to that group of patients. So first important thing is to establish the true blood pressure. So nowadays we have varieties of modalities available, what is called office hypertension. Second is the home blood pressure or office blood pressure. Sorry. So home blood pressure is, you give more importance nowadays to home blood pressure. So if somebody comes to a hospital and found to have first time hypertension, usually it is advisable to take repeated blood pressure for few days, next suppose 1 week, alternate day or daily for next 1 week at home. So that is ideal to see what is the blood pressure pattern at home, and based on that we can decide whether actually the person is a true blood pressure or it is a false blood pressure. Second is that we have nowadays a system of monitoring blood pressure, what is called ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. we can connect a machine to the person, and we can see the continuous blood pressure, suppose extend 24 hours or maybe even long time. We can monitor the blood pressure and see what is the pattern of blood pressure. So I think these are the actual way to check the blood pressure than one reading in a hospital which shows high blood pressure, and that may not be correct. So blood pressure should be established first before starting treatment by measuring repeatedly at home or by ambulatory blood pressure monitoring. So these are very important. We give a lot of stress on this kind of modality of measuring the blood pressure nowadays than hospital measurement by doctor or nurses in a one day. So establish the blood pressure, and you first establish the blood pressure, and initial stage, if blood pressure is not very high, you go for lifestyle modification. And suppose lifestyle modification and dietary modification cannot control blood pressure, then we go for the medicine. So this is the way to treat blood pressure. One of the most important aspect to be considered when there is a blood pressure is the whether blood pressure has got any other bad effect onto the body. That means complicated blood pressure. That means complications secondary to blood pressure. So blood pressure can give various complications. One most important complication is the cardiovascular disease or heart disease. Heart disease can be hypertension is one of the most commonest risk factor for heart disease. Second is the hypertension. Again, high blood pressure is a commonest risk factor for the stroke, cerebrovascular accident. You might have heard about the paralysis. So this is one of the most commonest cause is the hypertension. And third is the commonest cause of kidney disease. So heart disease, brain disease, brain stroke, and kidney. These are the three important complications we see because of the blood pressure. So when you treat a blood pressure, we need to consider this aspect also, because blood pressure, treatment of blood pressure, drugs given to only blood pressure and drugs given to a person who has got a blood pressure along with this complication may be different. So we need to think about the other aspect of blood pressure, complication of the blood pressure, and accordingly we need to prescribe medicine so that it works for both purpose. So that is very, very important. So suppose a person who has got a high blood pressure along with the cardiovascular disease, many a time we prefer to use beta blocker than other medicine. Person who has got a kidney disease, we along with hypertension, initial stage we prefer to use the AC inhibitors or enzyme inhibitors or receptor inhibitors. So that way, if there is other complications, we need to prefer a particular drug. So it is not only the treatment of the blood pressure, we need to treatment of the whole system, cardiovascular system along with the blood pressure. Now, I just want to discuss about the blood pressure in the context of COVID-19. So as you know, COVID-19 is a virus. It is a coronavirus group. It is the same family of coronavirus family, and this is COVID-19. This SARS-CoV-2. This is the virus which is the first detected even in Hubei province of China, and this particular virus has got a different capacity or different kind of capability to infect people, because it's highly contagious and it can spread very fast. It can spread very fast and very rapidly. So it is not, though it is not very fatal virus if you compare the SARS virus and MERS virus, which 2012 we have seen, that has got more kind of complications, more fatality than this virus. But this virus has got not only this fatality capacity, the complication capacity, but it is very highly contagious. So because of the very high infectivity, it can spread very fast and infect a lot of people. And important aspects of this particular virus is that this virus when infect a person, and that person is elderly, and person has other comorbid condition. Comorbid condition means person who has got some other disease, like for example high blood pressure, diabetes mellitus, heart disease, cancer and lungs disease, person who smokes, person who has got a liver disease. These are the different comorbid conditions. So if these comorbid conditions are present, this virus has got a very bad impact. That means the fatality or mortality or morbidity will be very high, complications will be very high. As you know, this virus, if suppose out of 100% this virus infect, out of 100%, usually 80 will be okay. 80%, 80 out of 100, 80 will not have major complications. They will come out of this with a mild fever, cough, or mild breathing difficulty. They will come out of that. Out of this 120% only will need the hospital care, or maybe they might need hospital admission. Out of this hospital admission, I think few have to be shifted to ICU or intensive care unit for severe complications like severe breathing difficulties. And out of that, maybe 5%, around 5%, 2 to 5% person will have death. That means death rate is around, average is around 5%. So 2 to 5 depending on the different condition, except few countries like Italy and all, they had a high mortality. So the different, but in general, is mortality is around 5%. So this virus has a mortality is not very, very high, but infectivity rate is very high. So it infects people very fast and it is very difficult to contain. So that's why we need to take all precautions to, as much as possible, to contain the virus or prevent infection. Now, one very important relation of this COVID-19 with the cardiovascular disease or hypertension is that this receptor of this virus, that means the functional receptor or the virus, when any kind of germ which infect the body, it has to get attached to the body first. So this virus has got a attachment, it has to be attached with a receptor, which is a receptor for this our drug called ACE inhibitors. That means this COVID-19 or SARS-CoV coronavirus 2 has got a functional receptor of the ACE inhibitor 2. That means ACE inhibitor 2 receptor is the functional receptor for this virus. First, it will, this spikes of the virus, all of you know the picture, these spikes over this virus has been seen everywhere, it has been documented or shown in advertisement also. So the spikes will get attached to the ACE inhibitor receptor 2. So that is the receptor for this virus. There is a functional receptor for this virus, and once it get attached to that receptor, it will go to the inside the cell and it will do the damage to the human cell. First, it will get attached mostly in the nasopharynx area, and it will get attached to the nasopharyngeal cells, and gradually it will percolate, or gradually it will progress to the lungs, and ultimately it has got a lot of inflammatory response, because any virus infection will invite a huge inflammatory response of the body. So when this virus gets infected and it goes to the lung, and body will respond to fight. Body will have the body responds to fight this virus, and that will be a war between the body and the virus. And in this war, actually there will be a lot of chemicals will be released and produce a lot of inflammation in the lung as well as in various parts of the body. In fact, it is sometimes inflammation rate or response rate is so high that have elements, and ultimately it will produce something like a storm. So virus will produce severe inflammatory reaction inside the lung, and a person will not be able to take breath, and finally he has to be ventilated. And ultimately what happens is, because of the severe body reactions, and all other organs also will get involved, and finally there will be multiple organs will involve, and multi-organ failure will develop, and person will die. So these are kind of in a severe stage of this COVID-19, and ultimately this is the fatality. Because of this, there will be fatality rate will be high in that particular group of person. But I'll say that people who has got a comorbid condition, as I initially outlined, like heart disease, blood pressure, diabetes, lung disease, liver disease, then cancers. So if those comorbid conditions, those kind of group of people, about 20% of those group of people will need hospitalization, maybe 20 to 35, 45%, depending on the various. Suppose heart disease, but who has got a heart disease, about 35% of the people will need hospitalization. Suppose person who has got a lung disease and kidney disease, especially kidney disease is very, very important to mention, because renal disease or kidney disease patient will have a more chances of getting infection. In fact, around 45% of the kidney disease patient will get admitted to the hospital. And out of these people with comorbid conditions, they will get admitted to the hospital. About 20%, average, I will say average, 20% will be actually shifted to ICU. So people who have a comorbid condition, quite a good number of patients, about 20% of the people will get shifted to ICU. So this is a difficult problem. COVID-19 will affect more people badly who has got a comorbid conditions. So ultimately what happened, these people who are going to ICU, about 10-12% of those people will have a fatality. Suppose there is no comorbid condition, in fact about fatality rate will be around 2%, as I told you, 2 to 5%. So people who has got a fatality or the comorbid condition like all these diseases, then they have a more fatality rate, around 10 to 15, I'll say around average 12 to 13% of the people who will have death. So that's the reason person who are elderly people, more than 60 years, persons who has got this comorbid condition, they should be extremely careful and they should not get somehow exposed to this disease. If they get disease also, they should get immediate doctor's advice and immediate care, so that we can prevent the complications. So as I told you, this will attest to this angiotensin receptor antagonist, which is again the receptors which is this particular group of drug, angiotensin receptor blocker, will work. Now there are a lot of discussion about this, that because it's the same receptor being shared by the drug as well as COVID-19, whether there is a more chances or different kind of modification of these receptors when these particular drugs are being used. So because receptor is shared by the COVID-19 and this drug, there are some doubt that if you take this drug, there will be more chances of COVID or more severe disease of the COVID. So there are a lot of discussion, a lot of write-ups in papers and all. So a lot of doubts are going on. But I should say that at this particular platform, I would like to inform you that there are few studies have been performed. Recently there is actually article I read only 2 days back. There is an article in New England Journal of Medicine. In Italy they have who are on this angiotensin receptor blocker because of hypertension and they were studied actually who has got a COVID positive. That means COVID cases with these particular drugs, they already taking this particular drug, and they have been studied. They found that there is nothing like that. They concluded three conclusions was there from the study. This is that there is no evidence that sorry. There is no evidence that if you take this particular drug, there is no increased susceptibility of this COVID infection to that particular person. Number one. Number two, they also found that suppose irrespective of the age, irrespective of sex, and if you take this particular drug, there is no evidence that this disease severity will be increased. So there is neither susceptibility or severity of the disease will be increased. So that means there is no definite relation of this intake of this angiotensin receptor blockers with the COVID-19. So there should not be any fear that if I am taking this angiotensin receptor blocker and I would have more susceptibility of COVID infection, or if I get COVID infection, I will have a more severe infection. It is not like that. So there is no evidence at this stage, and all societies all over the world, like American Heart Society, American Society of Cardiology, European Society of Cardiology, different hypertensive society of different countries have recommended that if you are taking this particular group of drugs in presence of COVID, you need to continue that. In fact, all those studies have shown that ARB and ACE inhibitors are being used more, found to be used more in a COVID patient, because reason is very simple, that many COVID patients many patients with COVID will have various other diseases like heart disease, heart failure, and diabetes, because these are the group of people who need to continue ARBs or angiotensin receptor blockers or ACE inhibitors. So they found that these drugs should be continued because these are very useful drugs in those kind of situations where patient has got a heart disease, patient has got diabetes, patient has got a kidney disease, and patient who got infected with the COVID, and these drugs should be continued in those group of people. In fact, there is nothing like a contraindication, or suppose the patient will have found to have high blood pressure and patient found to have COVID infection, whether we should use this particular group of drugs or not. I think there is nothing like a contraindication should not be used, no reason for that. We don't have evidence at this stage. These drugs can be used in the particular group of patients. So this is very important. I should again highlight that there is some doubt about the angiotensin receptor blockers or ACE inhibitors used in COVID-19. And evidence, there are evidences we have. There's even recent studies have come that it showed that we don't have to worry about that. We need to continue these drugs. There is no chance of increased infection or increased severity of the infection of COVID in presence of intake of this particular drug. So this has to be very clear. And another important aspect, I should say that hypertension is found to be around 30 to 35% of the COVID patients. That means as such, hypertension is a very common disease, common risk factors for heart disease. And in fact, all these studies have shown that hypertension is quite commonly associated with the COVID-19 patient. In that context, again, we need to continue these particular drugs. We don't have to discontinue this particular group of drugs in COVID-19 patient. Because comorbidity with the COVID patient, one of the important comorbid condition is the hypertension. So this is very important to understand that. And finally, I should say that in a COVID patient, if there is hypertension, treatment recommendation is same. In a normal person, what we treat in a COVID-19 patient, also treatment will be same, and there is no need to change any drugs because of the COVID-19 infection. So this is very, very important to remember that. So finally, I should say that hypertension is a common disease. Is a common about one third of the people in India is suffering from hypertension, and because of the hypertension, there is other complications like heart disease and cerebrovascular accident and kidney disease. This is the commonest risk factor, in fact, for heart disease and all these diseases. And blood pressure, if blood pressure is detected, it should be confirmed first by doing home measurement or ambulatory blood pressure monitoring, and first confirm and first initially treat with the lifestyle modification, diet control and exercise, and finally you can add drugs to this to treat this hypertension. Another important aspect is the hypertension not only treat the blood pressure, it treat the patient or treat the disease, because hypertension can be associated with other complications like cardiac disease and cerebrovascular accident or kidney disease. So all these other aspects should be kept in mind. And in fact, hypertension is quite commonly associated with diabetes. So diabetes, hypertension, and other heart disease, kidney disease, all these things should be kept in mind when we prescribe drugs to a particular person, because we should treat the disease. We should treat the not the hypertension blood pressure level. We should treat the hypertension as a whole hypertension and its complications. It is very, very important to understand these few aspects of hypertension. And I think I invite now. I'll conclude this kind of discussion about hypertension. I'll invite any queries from you. Yeah, there is one question I have seen. There's a caffeine can raise blood pressure level. Yeah, caffeine has, because caffeine is a, so caffeine, if you take very frequently, it can increase the blood pressure because it is a stimulant. It can because one of the important aspect of blood pressure is the sympathetic nervous stimulations. Caffeine can increase the stimulate this nervous system. It can increase the heart rate, because the heart rate, persistent heart rate, so continuous there is an increased heart rate, blood pressure can go up. So too much of caffeine is not good, so that can increase blood pressure. Yeah, there is another question: could the blood pressure lowering medicine make people COVID-19 sicker? As I told you, there is nothing like that. So COVID-19 doesn't have any relation with blood pressure. So nobody blood pressure medicine is taken. So we can continue blood pressure. You can continue all group of blood pressure in presence of COVID-19. Another question is there is an additional symptom of COVID-19 infection with heart disease. Yeah, that is a good question. I should say that COVID-19 can affect the heart in two ways. One is primarily it can affect the heart. It can affect the heart in it can increase the heart rate. It can precipitate heart attack. COVID-19 can precipitate heart attack. And as you know, as you might have heard about the Kawasaki disease. Kawasaki disease is the inflammatory disease, which can develop inflammation of the coronary arteries. Even it has been shown in few cases. Recently, one case in New York, they found that there is inflammation of the coronary arteries. So arteritis can develop in the coronary arteries that can produce heart attack. So this is a primary involvement of the COVID is that it can increase the heart rate. It can suddenly produce the sudden shock kind of syndrome. Sudden person will go into shock, sudden death. It can produce arrhythmia, and it can produce acute MI. This is the kind of primary presentation. And if secondary effect of the COVID-19 is the person who has got a heart disease, they can develop more complications. Suppose person who has got a heart disease, already there is a dysfunction, LV dysfunction, heart pumping is poor, that can produce heart failure. And suppose there are other suppose heart disease, coronary artery disease, patient will have some. So it can affect the heart in primary and secondary ways. It is another question. Can we start with blood pressure and sugar issues with ongoing lockdown lifestyle, stress and sedentary life? Yeah, of course. This is a lifestyle equation. Person blood pressure and sugar both can have a very strong relation with the lifestyle. So obviously, at this stage, I think in a lockdown state, stress and sedentary life definitely have some contribution. But I think it is not that stress. You need to always stress cannot be burst. So you need to avoid stress, or you try to de-burst the stress. So if you have a stress, you go for walking, do some yoga, meditations, and always think positive way, never think a negative way. So I think there are various ways to bust the stress. So you should do that. Under the sir, special attention is being given to hypertension patients with COVID time with respect to building their immunity. Yes, immunity is a body response to fight against any kind of germs, like bacteria, virus, and all. So immunity is not you cannot just boost the immunity in a day. So you need to have a culture to improve the immunity. So obviously, to improve immunity, one of the important trick is to improve immunity, regular exercise. You need to have regular exercise that will improve immunity. You need to have a healthy food, suppose more fruits, vegetables, and more of a natural food that will improve the immunity. So immunity is not the one day program. It has to be a long-term program. So try to do that. I think improve immunity. Another question is the atrial fibrillation is a high risk for having COVID. It is not like that. See, atrial fibrillation is one of the against common arrhythmia, and it's quite commonly associated with high blood pressure. Relation with COVID. Yeah, this is another question is whether smokers have got a high risk. Yeah, of course. If you see that smoker, most important is the smokers, especially past smokers who has developed already lung problem, smokers lung, what is called, they have a very high risk of developing COVID. Even current smokers also very high risk. But a patient who has got already COPD or chronic obstructive airway disease secondary to smoking has got a very high risk of developing COVID infection. Not only high risk, they have a high chance of developing complications. Sorry. Yeah, this is another question. Coronavirus and do anti-hypertensive raise the risk of COVID-19 patients. So as I told you that there is no relations of the anti-hypertensive drugs with. So if you are taking any hypertensive drug, you can continue. There is nothing like no risk for. It should be very clear. I'd be very happy that to make it clear that any drugs you are taking for blood pressure will not increase the COVID infection. Or in for hypertension patients who are taking medicine, they can continue same medicines. Yeah, then another very good questions that what are the few things primary care physician should be aware of while diagnosis of MI, heart failure in patients with COVID infection. That is Mr. Ravi Panigrahi. I think this is a very good question because many a time we know that heart attack is because of the all of us know about heart attack or acute MI. So I should say that there are instances or there are some reports and there are even paper publications from Italy that acute MI or ST elevation MI, acute MI can be a primary presentation of COVID. So all of us should know that, any primary physicians or all doctors should know that acute MI can be a first presentation of COVID-19. So that has to be remembered. In fact, person who has got or who has got a heart disease, they are more prone for COVID infection. So it is not necessary that they will come with cough, fever and all. They can come as a simple increase in the breathlessness. So all of us should be very careful. Person who has got a heart disease, they have a high chance of developing COVID infection. So if they come to us, we should be very careful. We should think that he might have COVID and we should treat accordingly. All precautions should be taken. Yeah, another question is what are the should be taken to high blood pressure and sugar. So person who has got a high blood pressure and sugar, actually precautions same as person who doesn't have high blood pressure sugar for the COVID infection. So basically the social distancing, avoiding in a crowded place, washing your hand, use the regular mask. So these are regular precautions or preventive measures which has already been highlighted everywhere in the TV, radio, on various social media. So all these precautions will be taken same way for the person who has got this high blood pressure, diabetes, or who don't have. Radiation therapy can be used for COVID-19. This is a very difficult question. We need to actually have a lot of data on that, but there is no evidence right now to say that radiation therapy can be used for the COVID-19 infection. There's a question there. Another very important question: the warm condition COVID-19 effect will reduce. There is nothing like no evidence for that. there are a lot of media talks and a lot of people are talking about that, but there is no evidence that worm will reduce the COVID infection. There is no evidence like that. Anyway, thank you very much. I think I don't see any other question for you. And, thank you all of you for your kind attention. And you can have a kind of in any time you can have any queries in future. Also, you can directly communicate with me. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think there's one more question has come. Do smokers have a high risk of COVID infection? As I told you, not only current smoker, even past smoker has got a high susceptibility for infection. So person who is smoking, they have a very high chance of infection. So anybody who is smoking, I think we should stop it at this stage. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your kind attention. Thank you very much.